So I'm doing a framing walkthrough on my custom home in Jonesville today. It's in Lakota Subdivision, which is off 15th Ave, and it's a great subdivision. It's been built out over the last couple of years with all really nice homes. And so for our house, it's taken about 4 weeks to get at this point, from the time the slab was poured to getting framing completely dried in and almost finished all of engineering on the inside. And so we've got windows in, doors in. The trades are coming in this week, so we've got the AC guys coming on Monday and the plumbers coming towards the end of the week. So we just want to make sure that we're ready for structural framing inspection. There's nothing that's needed in advance of the trades. So we'll start out on the exterior, just double check the house wrap, make sure we're not missing any spots. Check out the windows. So the window manufacturers nowadays are going to require a screw hole in every single window, so we'll double check that. Because siding is going to be going on soon, so when you get a window screw off inspection, and check post and beam, concealed attachment. We got 2 small awnings on the front of this house, and so this was mainly completed yesterday, but just give you a little look at that. And then, we'll move inside. This is the majority of, the engineering is on the inside of the home, so this is where we'll spend, most of the walkthrough is walking through and checking out, all the little details in here. So the first thing we're going to look at is for anchor bolt spacing. So my engineer requires 32 inches on center, which you see there highlighted. So this is a pretty easy thing to check. Every 32 inches on center, they should be kind of evenly spaced within the studs, and you can kind of see that, every 2 stud bays, we're going to have an anchor bolt. Then I'll check all the hurricane straps, which is another pretty easy thing to check. Just walk the house, make sure none are missing. Sometimes the harder to reach ones are skipped over, so we want to make sure that didn't happen and none were forgotten about. Any of the trusses with heavy uplift, my engineer is going to call out on the structural engineering plan. So, we'll look for those. And while we're looking up here, we'll look for any buckets that, let's make sure they have their nails are all in place. And then we'll check kings and jacks. So my structural engineer is going to call out all of this, kings and jacks, headers. So, we're going to walk the house, make sure, quite a few windows and doors in the house. So we make sure they all have the right, sized headers, right number of kings and jacks. At the same time we're doing this, we'll check, U-straps, flat straps, HTT4s are required in spaces with, heavy uplift. So we'll check that, make sure they got all the nails. Here on the back porch, we have a super tall LVL called out. So, let's double check that, in the garage, make sure we have our 2x6 buck in place around the garage door and the right size LVL above the door. And then we also have floor decking ways put in the attic space above the garage. So just making sure that's in place. And then working back inside, the interior load-bearing walls, make sure we have bolts in place and SP1s and SP2s tying the wall down. And something I always do on the interior bearing walls is just walk around and give them a good shake, make sure the nails are secured, so that way these walls aren't just kind of free-floating and no issues later on with walls moving. And then something pretty important for the drywall guys are making sure we have blocking in every corner, so that way they have a place to nail their sheetrock too. I think also goes the same thing for the showers. So that's something that definitely gets forgotten occasionally. So we want to double check, make sure we have blocking in all the corners of the shower. So that way when the tile guy comes to put backer board in, he has a nailer in every single corner. And then I'll check all the windows in the house. So the installation engineering calls for no bigger than a 1/4 inch gap around all the windows. And this is mainly for, strength, but also, air tightness. You don't want big gaps around your windows, letting cold or hot air in from the outside. So we'll just double check this, make sure none of the rough openings were cut too big and the windows are fitting tight. And then whenever you have a fireplace in a house, at the top of the fireplace cavity, you have to put extra blocking to make sure, in case there's a fire, that can't spread to the attic. There's small details in the house like this fridge recess that we're going to double check. I always do blocking in the kitchen, so I make sure we got that up, so that way it makes it a lot easier for a cabinet guy later on to hang cabinets. And then I'll check the tray ceilings. Whenever these are framed up, my framers will pull a string, but I just want to double check that and make sure nothing looks wonky and all the lines look perfectly straight. And then moving on to probably the most complicated part of this walkthrough are the trusses. So, we're going to go up in the attic and just give everything a good look, because you can look up here, honestly, for hours. So, we want to look for all of our engineering. The truss engineers are going to call out a ton of locations where they're going to want lateral and diagonal bracing. And so that's kind of what you see here, all these straight 2x4s that are kind of running, diagonally or nailed alongside of these trusses here. These are to keep the trusses stiff, if you can imagine a hurricane coming and and potentially rocking the trusses up in the attic from wind. This is going to keep them all strong. So the truss engineer figures out, vulnerable points in the trusses and has us add engineering there. And then we'll check the piggybacks, the top part of the roof. The roof's so tall it comes in 2 pieces, and we'll check all the strapping and make sure they're all nailed in so that way the piggybacks are nice and secure. So like I said at the beginning of the video, the trades are coming in this week, and so it's going to be a busy next few weeks with the trades and the roof going on, the siding going on, and I'm going to post update videos, as this house progresses. We're looking to finish, early next summer, so I'll have a lot of update videos. And if you liked this content, be sure to subscribe. And if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments.